Do what the wealthy do. In this episode, I'm going to address the question, what is the smartest way to access cash out of an IUL, Indexed Universal Life? Get ready, I'm going to blow you away. So my name's Doug Andrew, and I've helped people now for more than 48 years optimize their financial assets. I'm a financial strategist, a retirement planning specialist. But in that process, I'm very passionate about helping people minimize taxes so they don't outlive their money. Because there are three big dangers that cause most people to outlive their money during their golden years: taxes, inflation, and market volatility. So one of my favorite vehicles that I recommend that retirees have anywhere from 40 to 60%, and some of our clients even have 100% of their money in these. We've taken some couples from the highest tax bracket to a 0% tax bracket, but I would recommend generally between 40 to 60% of your retirement income should not even show up on your 1040 tax return. People go, huh? I've never heard of this before. The IRS will get hold of this one. No, the IRS, they're the ones who set the rules, okay? This has been a sacred tax-free cash cow in the Internal Revenue Code for over a century. And so in other episodes and in the various books that I've authored, I talk about this instrument. It is a max-funded indexed universal life. And if it's structured correctly and funded properly, it's what I call a laser fund. Now, LASER is an acronym. This stands for liquid assets, safely earning returns. Now, long story short, this is where I've been able to experience now for more than 4.5 decades, rates of return averaging between 7 to 10%. If you understand rule of 72 math, if you were to earn 7.2%, your money doubles every 10 years. If you earn 10% divided into 72, your money doubles every 7.2 years. Actually, through 30 years of history, I've probably averaged about 9.6%, 9.62 to be exact. 9.6 will double your money every 7.5 years. So what does that mean? Well, I've actually had clients who started out with $500,000. And it doesn't matter if you start out with $10,000, $100,000 a year, $500 a month. It doesn't matter. It's not what you begin with that counts, it's what you end up with. But with $500,000 one time, never adding a dime, that $500,000 has doubled to $1 million, $1 million doubled to $2 million, $2 million doubled to $4 million, and $4 million doubled to $8 million in 30 years, every 7.5 years. And now we actually have people that have $8 million in their portfolio of IUL policies, and they're generating very conservatively between $600,000 to $800,000 a year of growth or tax-free income for as long as they live without depleting principal. Now, the IRS knows they're receiving this, but it's tax-free. It's not deemed earned passive or portfolio income. And did you know that since 1986 tax reform, those are the only 3 types of income you pay income tax on in America? They're on the front page of your 1040 tax return. So many times when people would come to me with all of their money in yet to be taxed IRAs or 401ks, and they'd say, hey, we've saved, $3 or $4 million, Doug. We figure we can experience about $200,000 a year of income. I go, well, that's great. Way to go. High five. But the big problem I see, it's all showing up on the front page of your 1040 tax return. And they go, you mean there's a better way? I go, yes. The better way is making sure that your serious cash passes the liquidity test, safety test, and rate of return test with flying colors. Tax benefits are icing on the cake, and that's why I call it a laser fund when a max-funded indexed universal life is structured correctly and funded properly. Now, I have several episodes on this very channel that talk about that criteria. So I would recommend that you search this channel, but more than anything, subscribe. Click on the bell to be notified every time I post an in-depth answer to a financial question, which I do almost on a daily basis. But I have over 500 educational episodes on this channel to empower you. This isn't about me. This is about you and your brighter future. So subscribe and share this video. But let's go back to this liquidity safety rate of return here. See, I want to have my money liquid. Liquidity is the ability to access my money when I need it with an electronic funds transfer or phone call. I want to have safety, not only safety of the institution where my money is socked away, but safety of principal. I don't want to lose what I've set aside, and any year that I make money, I want that money I just made last year to become newly protected principal. I don't want to lose in future years what I made in previous years. You wouldn't believe how many financial advisors don't know how to do what I just said. That's what the laser fund can do. You lock in your gains every year and you reset. So that after experiencing, like in the year 2021, when I'm recording this episode, we've had many clients lock in gains of 28%, 32%, 61%, even some at 158%. It means if the next year a recession hit, a crash happened, and the market dropped 40%, they would not lose one dime of the money they made this year. In 2017, we had many clients lock in gains of 16% and 25%. I had a client with $1 million. At the end of that year, he had $1,250,000. If the next year, by the way, 2018 was a ho-hum year, but if that next year had been a major crash, he would have ended up with still the $1,250,000 he started with. He may not have made very much, but he didn't lose if the market went down. This is through indexing. That's a strategy. I'm not talking about index mutual funds here. So be sure and watch episodes on this channel. I'm talking about an indexed universal life. And when you accumulate money inside one of these, you do it so that somewhere down the road you can access the money. So this episode is about how do you access that money the smartest way. Are you ready? So in my various books, sometimes I oversimplify and I say there's 3 ways you can access money out of a maximum funded insurance contract. The sad way, the dumb way, and the smart way. Now, in a nutshell, the sad way is by dying. It's one heck of a return, but I don't recommend that one. Okay. But if I put in, $10,000 or $100,000 and the death benefit is $2.5 million or whatever, and I die the next day, that's one heck of a return. I leave behind $2.5 million tax-free, but it's sort of the sad way to do it. Okay. But that comes along for the ride in case you happen to pass away. What about the dumb way and the smart way? Money inside of an insurance contract, you can access that money in the Internal Revenue Code under what is called FIFO tax treatment. Most investments are taxed LIFO. What's LIFO? Last in, first out. It simply means this. The last money you're earning is the first money that has to come out and be taxed according to the Internal Revenue Service. If you put $500,000 into an annuity, that's taxed LIFO. If you were earning 10%, let's say, and most annuities don't pay that, but theoretically you could pull out $50,000 a year and you would not deplete your principal. You're going to have to pay tax on that $50,000 right off the bat because it's the last money you're earning. Your interest is the first money coming out. Most investments are taxed that way, LIFO. Insurance contracts are taxed FIFO, first in, first out. If I put $500,000 in and I started pulling out $50,000 a year, assuming a 10% return to make apples to apples comparison here, it would take 10 years before I recovered my basis of the $500,000 I put in. First money in is the first money out. It's tax-free until I've recovered my basis. That's dumb because after 10 years, I would then trigger unnecessary tax. So that takes us to the smart way where it stays tax-free. Are you ready for the smart way? Okay, I'm going to start with the milk and go to the meat on this one. And be sure and subscribe to this channel if you can think of somebody who might benefit from hearing this. When you go to the insurance company, and let's say that you have $1 million accumulated and it's retirement time. It doesn't have to be retirement time. You can access money in your 30s or 40s. There's no penalty if you touch money before age 59 and a half. For the sake of simplicity, I have earned average returns of about 10.07%. Let's just round it down to 10. On $1 million, theoretically, you could pull out $100,000 a year, okay? You can go there and say, well, I can take out $100,000 a year up until I've recovered my basis. But most savvy, smart people, the wealthy people, they go, why would I do that? Because you can tell the insurance company to loan you the equivalent of your interest. Why would you do that? Why would you borrow your own money? Because wealthy people understand how money works. Here's what happens. If I have $1 million of cash in there, that's my collateral. If I leave it there, it will keep growing. If I take it out, it won't grow anymore if I start taking the money out. So I tell the insurance company, leave my $1 million there, and I'm earning 10%, $100,000. Loan me the equivalent of the interest, okay? And so they loan me $100,000, but it has to be a true loan. Now, why do I want to borrow my money? Because loan proceeds are not deemed earned passive or portfolio income. They're tax-free. It's that cut and dried. It's tax-free. The loan is never due and payable during your lifetime. Did you hear that? The insurance company has to keep a ledger. See, your cash that you left in there is the collateral for the loan, and it keeps growing with interest. So here's your $1 million compounding tax-free. Here's this loan balance, this phantom loan balance, $100,000 the first year, and they charge you a nominal interest rate like 2%. But on the collateral that collateralize this, they'll credit you the same 2%. This is called a zero wash loan. So here is this, it's growing, and this one is a loan balance. It's not due and payable during your lifetime. It's sort of paid off or washed away when you die. And it's growing at 2, but this is growing at 2%. This 2 minus that, it's called a zero wash loan, but the rest of your cash value is compounding at, let's say, an average of 10%. What happens? Listen close to this. Let's say you go 20 years into retirement, and you pull out $100,000 a year for 20 years. You have a $2 million phantom loan over here. You don't have to pay it off. It'll be paid off when you die. But now this $1 million is worth $3 million. $3 million minus $2 million is the same $1 million you had if you had pulled it out the dumb way and paid tax. But this way, you complied with the IRS and it's been tax-free. So far, so good. Here are 2 other reasons why it's the smart way. If you want, you can use an index loan. You can tell the insurance company, you know what, I think the economy is going to grow this next year. Charge me a higher rate, like 4%. Or 5%. Charge me 5% on this loan, but credit me whatever the market does. What does this mean? In 2017, I had a client borrow $1 million out of their policy, their Index Universal Life. They were charged 5% on their balance sheet, okay, on their statement. That's $50,000. Guess how much they made on the $1 million over here? 25%. They made $250,000. Minus the 50, they made a net of 20% or $200,000 tax-free on their $1 million while they were using $1 million in their real estate investments. He was making 20% net, borrowing his own money at 5 while he continues to earn 25 inside the insurance policy while he's using the money in his business. This is working capital for business. But the other reason why it's smart is because let's say 20 years down the road, you have this $2 million phantom loan balance. You don't ever have to pay it back. It's washed away when you die with the death benefit. Doesn't mean you can't pay it back. The biggest issue I see with people is they end up with an inheritance, a windfall. They sell their business, they sell their apartments or whatever, and they have this money, and they go, golly, I'm not healthy enough to qualify for another one of these. Where can I put this money? And I go, you're in luck. You don't have to pay back this $2 million, but you can if you want. The insurance company calls it a new investment. The IRS says you are paying back a loan. You put the $2 million in and you hit the ground running on your $2 million with a grandfathered contract that is tax-free, and you're earning interest immediately instead of jumping through all of the hoops that you had to jump through to establish the contract in the first place. Now, if that went over your head, you need to read my book. Here's how you can claim your free copy. So here's how you can learn more about this concept. You'll be blown away. I want to gift you free a copy of this most recent best-selling book called The Laser Fund, How to Diversify and Create the Foundation for a Tax-Free Retirement. In here, you'll learn how to access money the smartest way, and you'll learn about these strategies, index loans, and so forth when you study this book. It's actually 2 books in one. This side is 200 pages with all the charts and graphs. This side has 62 actual stories and examples of how people have used these strategies with their max-funded indexed universal life insurance contracts that I call the Laser Fund. So simply go to laserfund.com laserfund.com. Click on the link below. Contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I'll fire out a copy to you, and this will be the beginning of your learning and insights and enlightenment. There's also options there to listen and learn and watch and learn, but here is to your brighter future. Claim your copy now.